Long before modern psychology coined the term empath, Carl Jung observed individuals he termed peculiarly vulnerable to the collective unconscious, sensing its currents with an intensity others couldn't fathom. He didn't just acknowledge their unique, energetic constitution. He saw it as a raw, untamed force, demanding conscious integration, a profound challenge to their very individuation. Jung understood that these individuals possessed a rare psychic sensitivity, a unique aura that allowed them to resonate with the deeper strata of human experience, yet simultaneously exposed them to its chaotic, undifferentiated energies. His insights offer not just validation, but a foundational methodology for moving beyond passive reception towards active, empowered, energetic sovereignty. Today we venture beyond the conventional understanding of empathy, delving into a realm where the soul's sensitivity transforms into a profound, often overwhelming, energetic permeability. We speak not merely of those who feel deeply, but of a select few whose very essence resonates with a unique psychic signature, often colloquially termed rare auras. This isn't about literal colors or spectral phenomena, but rather a distinct energetic constitution, a heightened state of attunement that renders their inner psychic landscape exceptionally porous to the outer world. For these individuals, the boundaries between self and other, between their own psychic energy and the collective unconscious, can become astonishingly fluid. This inherent, almost ontological openness, while granting access to profound depths of intuition and connection, simultaneously exposes them to an existential vulnerability. They become unwitting conduits for the unfiltered psychic residue of their environment, the anxieties of the crowd, the unspoken grievances of strangers, the projected shadows of those around them. This constant absorption isn't merely emotional, it's an energetic download that can deplete their vital psychic reserves, leading to chronic exhaustion, profound disorientation, and a terrifying loss of self amidst the cacophony of external energies. The very gift that allows them to perceive the world in vivid, almost mystical detail, becomes their Achilles heel, leaving them drained, disillusioned, and struggling to maintain their own authentic, energetic resonance. The mystery we confront today is how such a unique psychic constitution, while seemingly a burden, can be understood and crucially managed through the profound insights of Carl Jung. How does this extraordinary energetic signature, this rare aura of the empath, manifest as a unique form of psychic vulnerability? And what are its subtle yet devastating consequences on the individual's inner world? Furthermore, how can the intricate tapestry of Jungian psychology, with its maps of the unconscious, its understanding of psychic energy, and its emphasis on individuation, provide an unparalleled framework for not only comprehending but also actively navigating this complex energetic landscape? And perhaps most critically, what concrete, actionable Jungian methods and principles can these energetically permeable individuals employ to erect robust psychic boundaries, fortify their inherent energetic strength, and transform this perceived vulnerability into a source of profound wisdom and empowered self-mastery? This journey into the energetic world of empaths is not merely an academic exploration. It is an urgent invitation to reclamation for those who have long felt adrift in a sea of foreign energies. For individuals living with this heightened psychic sensitivity, understanding is not a luxury, but a necessity for survival and thriving. Without the tools to comprehend and manage their unique energetic disposition, they risk not only their well-being, but their very sense of identity, potentially succumbing to the overwhelming influx of external psychic forces. It is time to move beyond passively enduring the energetic onslaught and instead to consciously engage with their inner power, to transform what feels like a curse into a sacred gift, guided by the timeless wisdom of Jungian thought. This is about learning not just to survive, but to flourish, to harness their rare energetic signature as a beacon of profound insight and a source of unshakable inner strength. The term empath has permeated popular culture, often conjuring images of heightened emotional sensitivity. Yet, a deeper Jungian analysis reveals something far more profound and indeed perilous. An empath, from this perspective, is not merely someone who feels deeply, but rather an individual whose psychic boundaries are exceptionally permeable, allowing for an almost unmediated absorption of the collective unconscious, both personal and impersonal. This is where the concept of a rare aura begins to crystallize, not as a visible energetic emanation, but as a metaphor for a highly refined, extraordinarily sensitive psychic field, a sort of antennae that tunes into frequencies most others remain oblivious to. Consider the average individual. Their psychic field, while certainly influenced by external energies, possesses a kind of conventional robustness, a protective epidermal layer built by years of ego development and the establishment of a functional persona. This psychic skin acts as a filter, allowing in what is manageable and deflecting what is not. For the empath, especially those with these so-called rare auras, this filter is often attenuated or even absent. Their internal landscape is constantly barraged by the emotions, thoughts, and even latent complexes of those around them. This isn't just about feeling a friend's sadness, it's about internally experiencing it as if it were one's own, down to the physiological sensations. Jung's concept of psychic energy or libido is crucial here. While for most, this energy flows in a relatively contained, self-directed manner, for the empath it is deeply intertwined with external currents, perpetually vulnerable to influence and often depletion. This heightened permeability presents a profound paradox. On one hand, it grants an almost preternatural ability for connection, understanding, and healing. Such individuals often possess an innate wisdom about human nature, a capacity to see beyond the surface into the archetypal dynamics at play. They are the natural counselors, artists, and visionaries, capable of translating the inchoate stirrings of the collective into comprehensible forms. But on the other hand, this very gift becomes their most significant burden. They are perpetually open channels, absorbing not just the beauty and light of the human experience, but also its shadow. The unspoken resentments, the hidden anxieties, the collective despair that lingers in the energetic atmosphere of society. Is it a blessing or a curse to feel so much, so deeply? The answer, as with most things in the realm of the psyche, lies in differentiation. The suffering of the undifferentiated empath is not merely emotional, it is an energetic crisis. Their psyche, lacking robust internal boundaries, acts like a sponge. When exposed to environments charged with negative or chaotic energy, a toxic workplace, a contentious family gathering, or even the general malaise of a crowded city, they absorb it indiscriminately. This isn't a conscious choice. It's an automatic physiological response to their hypersensitive psychic field. The mechanism of energetic absorption is akin to osmosis in biology. Psychic material from the environment passes through their permeable ego boundaries into their own energetic system, often without their awareness or consent. This process has direct implications for Jung's concept of the collective unconscious. Empaths, by their very nature, are intimately attuned to its currents. They feel the archetypal patterns, the collective complexes, and the historical traumas that resonate through humanity. While this connection can be a source of profound insight, it also means they are vulnerable to absorbing its dross, its unintegrated shadow material. When an empath internalizes another's unacknowledged anger, their own psyche begins to register that anger, often leading to inexplicable irritability or outbursts that have no personal origin. When they absorb another's profound grief, they might find themselves plummeting into a depression that is not their own. This undifferentiated absorption leads directly to what Jung termed psychic inflation and deflation. Psychic inflation occurs when the ego identifies with or is overwhelmed by collective contents. For an empath, this might manifest as absorbing so much of another's suffering that they feel they must save everyone, losing their sense of self in a sea of external problems. They become inflated with a sense of exaggerated responsibility or importance, not out of grandiosity, but out of a desperate attempt to process the overwhelming psychic load they've taken on. Conversely, psychic deflation is the inevitable consequence of this overextension. The constant outpouring of energy to process external content, coupled with the drain of embodying others' emotional states, leaves the empath depleted, exhausted, and often chronically unwell. This depletion is not just mental. It manifests physically as chronic fatigue, immune system dysfunction, and a general sense of energetic burnout. Consider the example of a highly empathic therapist who, after a day of intense sessions, returns home feeling utterly drained, burdened by the weight of their clients' unresolved issues, even experiencing their physical symptoms. Or the child who, in a home fraught with unspoken marital tension, internalizes the parental conflict, manifesting it as anxiety or behavioral issues, unable to differentiate their own feelings from the psychic atmosphere of the household. The fundamental issue is a lack of differentiation, the inability to consciously separate one's own psychic material from that of others. This inability also feeds into the shadow aspect of empathic ability. When an empath cannot differentiate, they become susceptible to unconscious projection, seeing parts of others within themselves or projecting their own unacknowledged qualities onto others. They may also suffer from dangerous identification, where they fuse their identity with the emotional states or suffering of those they are attuned to, blurring the lines of self. This profound blurring is the root cause of much empathy suffering. It is estimated that a significant portion of individuals identifying as highly sensitive or empathic report experiencing chronic fatigue, anxiety, and emotional exhaustion directly linked to their interactions. While precise empirical statistics are challenging in the realm of subjective psychic experience, clinical observations and qualitative studies consistently highlight this pattern. The empath often finds themselves living in a state of perpetual energetic siege, their precious psychic reserves constantly under threat from a world they feel too deeply. The rare aura, this highly sensitive psychic field, while a source of profound intuitive wisdom, can also act as a beacon, attracting not only those seeking connection but also the unintegrated shadow material from others. This is where the concept of psychic attacks comes into play, not in the popular sensationalized sense of malevolent spells, but as a more subtle, yet equally damaging phenomenon of unconscious projections. When individuals harbor intense envy, fear, anger, or even unacknowledged despair, these powerful emotions can, without conscious intent, be projected outwards. For someone with a permeable psychic field, these projections can latch on, creating energetic disturbances, emotional discomfort, and even physical symptoms that have no clear internal origin. Consider the stark contrast between the empath and the average individual. The typical person is largely protected by a more conventional and often less permeable ego, fortified by a well-established, albeit sometimes rigid, persona. This conventional psychic structure acts as a buffer, allowing the individual to largely deflect or filter out the unconscious projections of others. They might notice a strange atmosphere, or feel a brief pang of discomfort, but their psychic system is designed to return to equilibrium relatively quickly. The empath, however, lacks this robust internal architecture. Their psychic boundaries are like a finely woven silk veil compared to a sturdy brick wall. This fundamental difference means that while most people can unconsciously repel or ignore psychic debris, the empath is often absorbing it directly into their energetic core. This creates a profound paradox. The very sensitivity that allows for extraordinary depth of connection and understanding, the capacity to truly feel another's soul, is precisely what opens the door to profound wounding. The empath becomes a repository for the unintegrated, often toxic psychic content of their environment. They become unwitting conduits for the collective shadow, experiencing its manifestations as if they were their own. This is not merely an inconvenience. It can be deeply debilitating, leading to chronic illness, emotional dysregulation, and a profound sense of isolation as they struggle to differentiate what is theirs from what has been absorbed. Historically, this phenomenon has been observed in various forms. Jung himself in his early life recounted experiences with parapsychological phenomena that deeply affected his psyche, leading him to understand the very real impact of unseen forces. Similarly, accounts of shamans or spiritual practitioners across cultures often describe rigorous training and elaborate rituals designed precisely to manage their energetic permeability, to protect themselves from spirit sickness or the negative influence of others' psychic emanations. They understood that such sensitivity, while a gift, demanded disciplined management and strong psychic boundaries. Without these, the gift becomes a curse, leading to burnout, illness, or even psychological fragmentation. The rare aura, left undefended, becomes a magnet for what needs to be healed in the collective, at the expense of the individual. The good news is that Jungian psychology offers a powerful framework for transforming this inherent vulnerability into a source of empowered strength. The path is not to shut down empathy, which would be to deny one's fundamental nature, but to cultivate differentiation, the bedrock of psychic protection. Differentiation is the conscious process of distinguishing one's own psychic content, emotions, thoughts, and energies from those of others. It is the arduous, yet ultimately liberating task of establishing clear internal boundaries. This process begins with rigorous self-observation and honest introspection. When an empath feels an overwhelming emotion, the first Jungian step is to ask, is this truly mine, or is it something I've absorbed? This question, seemingly simple, can be revolutionary. It requires a deep dive into one's own complexes, fears, and desires to identify which internal archetypal patterns are being activated by external energies and which energies are purely external. This is not about building walls, but about developing a discerning filter. Central to this fortification is the crucial process of confronting the shadow. Often, when an empath feels particularly vulnerable to certain external energies, perhaps anger, sadness, or a sense of inadequacy from another, it is because those external energies resonate with an unacknowledged or unintegrated aspect of their own personal shadow. For instance, if an empath is deeply disturbed by another's passive-aggressiveness, it might be an indication that they themselves have unacknowledged passive-aggressive tendencies or fears of confronting their own anger directly. By consciously acknowledging and integrating these shadow aspects within themselves, the empath diminishes the hooks through which external projections can latch on. The unconscious material of others loses its power to destabilize when it no longer finds an echo within one's own unintegrated psyche. This brave encounter with the self ultimately strengthens the ego, making it more robust and less permeable to undifferentiated external influences. Furthermore, Jungian psychology encourages the conscious development of the persona. It is vital to understand that the persona is not inherently a mask of inauthenticity to hide behind. Rather, when consciously cultivated, it functions as a necessary psychological boundary, a psychic skin that regulates one's interactions with the world. For the empath, this means learning to create a functional outer self that can navigate social and professional environments without sacrificing their inner integrity or becoming overwhelmed. This is about establishing appropriate energetic boundaries, knowing when to engage, when to withdraw, and how to protect one's energetic field without becoming isolated or cold. A consciously developed persona allows the empath to be present and connected without being energetically consumed. This is in stark contrast to an unconscious or overdeveloped persona, which can lead to a false sense of self and further energetic depletion through pretense. Consider the individual who, after years of absorbing everyone's burdens, learns to articulate boundaries clearly, perhaps by saying no to requests that would deplete them, or by disengaging from conversations that are energetically toxic. This is not an act of selfishness, but an act of profound self-care and psychic differentiation. They understand that they are not responsible for others' emotional reactions to their boundaries. Their responsibility lies in maintaining their own psychic integrity. This deliberate act of self-sovereignty, rooted in Jungian principles, transforms the empath from a victim of their sensitivity into a conscious wielder of their unique energetic gifts. Beyond theoretical understanding, Jungian psychology offers concrete methods for active psychic strengthening, drawing heavily on the power of ritual and symbol. These are not mere superstitions, but potent psychological tools that engage the unconscious mind and facilitate conscious change. One of the most powerful methods is active imagination. This technique involves consciously engaging with figures, symbols, and emotions that arise from the unconscious. For an empath struggling with energetic absorption, active imagination can be a direct avenue to understand the source of their depletion or influx. Through dialogue with an inner figure that represents the absorbed energy, or by visualizing a symbolic process of cleansing and boundary setting, the empath can consciously transform the energetic dynamics. For example, they might visualize themselves surrounded by a protective light, or imagine a symbolic filter that allows only benevolent energies to pass through. This is not simply wishful thinking. It is a profound symbolic act that speaks to the deeper layers of the psyche, establishing new patterns of energetic interaction. Furthermore, Jungian thought acknowledges the profound power of symbolic rituals. Practices that, when understood psychologically, create psychic containment and re-establish energetic sovereignty. Ancient cultures instinctively grasped this, employing rituals for protection, cleansing, and demarcation. Modern empaths can adapt these principles. Visualization of an energetic shield. This involves consciously creating an archetypal protective image around oneself. This could be a sphere of white light, a cloister of ancient trees, or a sacred fire that purifies and wards off unwanted energies. The key is to imbue this image with intention and consistent practice, allowing the unconscious to internalize this protective boundary. Creating sacred spaces. This extends beyond the purely physical. While having a dedicated physical space for quiet reflection or meditation is beneficial, it also involves creating mental sacred spaces. This might be a visualized inner sanctuary or a conscious commitment to mental solitude, allowing the mind to declutter and differentiate absorbed energies. Journaling as a processing tool. Writing down the overwhelming emotions, thoughts, and images that the empath absorbs serves as a powerful externalization technique. It helps differentiate what is theirs from what is absorbed, allowing them to process and release external content rather than letting it fester internally. This act becomes a ritual of psychic hygiene, cleaning the inner space. Symbolic cleansing. Simple acts performed with conscious intention can have profound energetic effects. A shower can become a ritual of washing away absorbed energies, with the water symbolizing purification. Burning specific incense, lighting a candle, or even taking a cleansing salt bath can be potent symbols that signal to the unconscious a desire for energetic renewal and protection. Another potent Jungian method is conscious archetypal identification and integration. By actively connecting with archetypes of strength, protection, or grounding, empaths can consciously borrow and integrate their psychic energy. This might involve meditating on the image of the warrior for courage and boundaries, the hermit for self-containment and inner wisdom, the earth mother for grounding and nurturing, or the alchemist for transformation of psychic lead into gold. By consciously invoking and integrating these archetypal energies, the empath strengthens their own ego and self-axis, building an inner resilience that transcends mere vulnerability. Finally, paying attention to synchronicity serves as a vital guide. Meaningful coincidences can offer profound feedback from the self about one's energetic balance. A series of challenging interactions might be a synchronous signal to strengthen boundaries. A sudden encounter with a supportive individual might indicate that one's protective energies are in alignment. By learning to read these subtle cues from the unconscious, the empath can adjust their approach, making proactive choices to maintain their energetic well-being. Consider a client who, after incorporating a daily 15-minute visualization of energetic shielding and a weekly symbolic cleansing bath, reported a significant reduction in psychic fatigue and a newfound sense of energetic clarity. These practices, though simple, tap into the deep symbolic language of the unconscious, providing tangible psychic benefits. The ultimate goal of this Jungian path is not to eradicate empathy, nor to create an impenetrable psychic fortress that isolates the individual. Rather, it is to transform empathy from an unconscious vulnerability into a consciously wielded, potent spiritual and psychological gift. The journey for the empath is a profound facet of individuation, the lifelong process of becoming a whole, differentiated and unique individual aligned with the deepest truths of the self. The individuated empath understands that their sensitivity is not a weakness, but a highly refined instrument for perception. They have learned to differentiate their own psychic content from that of others, to establish robust yet flexible energetic boundaries, and to consciously choose what energies they engage with and absorb. This means they can still deeply connect, offer profound understanding and contribute to healing, but they do so from a place of psychic sovereignty rather than depletion. Their rare aura transforms from a liability into a source of immense wisdom, profound intuition, and a conscious conduit for benevolent collective energies. This transformed empath no longer suffers from psychic inflation or deflation. They are grounded in their own center, capable of observing and understanding the complex interplay of human emotions and archetypal forces without being overwhelmed or losing themselves. Their empathy becomes a conscious choice, a refined skill, rather than an automatic, often debilitating absorption. They learn to be present to suffering without internalizing it, to offer compassion without sacrificing their own well-being. The self emerges as the ultimate psychic protector and guide in this process. By aligning with the inherent wisdom and wholeness of the self, the empath accesses an internal source of energetic stability and protection that transcends external circumstances. The self, as the organizing center of the entire psyche, naturally seeks balance and integration. Trusting in this inner guide, the empath can navigate the complexities of their unique energetic makeup with greater confidence and grace. This journey is not a destination, but a continuous process. There will always be new layers of differentiation to explore, new aspects of the shadow to integrate, and new ways to consciously wield their profound sensitivity. But the path itself leads to a life of greater authenticity, purpose, and deep, resonant connection. A connection born not of indiscriminate absorption, but of conscious, empowered choice. The individuated empath embodies the highest potential of their unique energetic signature, a beacon of profound understanding, deeply connected to humanity, yet fiercely sovereign in their own psychic space. Their sensitivity, once a source of suffering, becomes their greatest strength, allowing them to contribute their unique light to the world without being consumed by its shadows. This is the promise of Jungian psychology for those whose very nature calls them to feel the world more deeply than most. The journey into the profound energetic landscape of the empath, particularly those graced or perhaps burdened with what we've termed rare auras, inevitably brings us to a crucial crossroads. We have ventured far beyond the simplistic notions of sensitivity, delving into the very architecture of the psyche, exploring the intricate dance between inner world and outer energetic currents. Our expedition has illuminated the inherent vulnerability that accompanies such an expanded psychic field, a porous boundary that, while capable of extraordinary attunement and compassion, often leaves the individual susceptible to the chaotic energies of the collective unconscious, the projections of others, and the insidious whispers of their own unintegrated shadow. We began by questioning whether this exceptional energetic permeability was a divine gift or a debilitating curse. The answer, as Jung so often revealed, lies not in a dualistic choice, but in the conscious integration of both poles. The rare aura empath, precisely because of their heightened receptivity, often experiences the world with an intensity that can be overwhelming, leading to psychic exhaustion, emotional dysregulation, and a profound sense of isolation. We uncovered the mechanisms behind this vulnerability, the mirror neuron systems firing in overdrive, the collective unconscious resonating within their personal depths, and the unexamined persona failing to provide adequate energetic protection. The very expansiveness of their energetic signature, a luminous beacon to some, can paradoxically act as an anchor for the unintegrated fragments of the world around them. However, our exploration did not dwell solely on the perils. We have meticulously unveiled the ancient wisdom encoded within Jungian psychology, revealing not merely theoretical constructs, but potent alchemical tools for transformation. We learned that the protection and strengthening of psychic energy are not about erecting impenetrable walls, but about cultivating robust, flexible boundaries through conscious inner work. The shadow, that repository of unacknowledged aspects of the self when confronted and integrated, ceases to be a source of unconscious projection and becomes instead a wellspring of untapped power. By engaging with our shadow, we reclaim fragmented energy, solidify our ego's foundation, and thus become less susceptible to external energetic intrusions. Similarly, the persona, when consciously constructed and authentically worn, transforms from a fragile mask into a dynamic, adaptable interface with the world. It provides a necessary energetic buffer, allowing the empath to navigate social landscapes without fully merging with every passing emotion or intention. It is not a denial of self, but a strategic self-presentation, enabling the empath to conserve psychic energy for their deepest purpose. And beyond these initial stages, we embraced the profound power of symbolism and active imagination. These are not mere mental exercises, they are direct dialogues with the unconscious pathways to understanding the nuanced language of the soul. Through them, the empath learns to discern their own authentic psychic energy from the energetic imprints of others, strengthening their internal compass and anchoring their consciousness in their true self. The symbols that emerge from these practices, be it a protective amulet, a sacred grove, or an internal guardian, become potent psychological realities, dynamically shaping their energetic field and offering profound internal resilience. Ultimately, the process of individuation itself stands as the paramount Jungian method for strengthening the psychic energy of the empath. Individuation is not a destination, but a continuous journey of becoming whole, of integrating all aspects of the self, conscious and unconscious, light and shadow. For the empath with a rare aura, this path is particularly vital, as it involves the conscious differentiation of their unique energetic signature from the vast ocean of collective psychic energy. It means understanding their sensitivity not as a flaw, but as a unique sensory organ for truth, for connection, and for profound insight. As one progresses through individuation, the once vulnerable openness transforms into a conscious permeability, a choice to engage, to absorb, to transmute, rather than to be overwhelmed. The psyche becomes less like a sieve and more like a conscious filter, selectively engaging with and processing energetic information rather than being passively flooded. This profound work offers not just protection, but a radical redefinition of what it means to be an empath. It elevates the experience from a passive reception of external stimuli to an active, conscious engagement with the very fabric of reality. The rare aura empath, through Jungian methods, learns to wield their unique energetic disposition not as a burden, but as a formidable instrument of perception and influence. They become a conduit for conscious awareness, a beacon capable of transmuting psychic discord into harmony, first within themselves and then radiating outward. The goal is not to numb oneself, but to become so robustly rooted in one's authentic self that external energies, no matter how chaotic, can be processed without compromising one's core energetic integrity. So what does this mean for the future? It suggests that the empath, once viewed as fragile, may hold the key to a more conscious, energetically attuned humanity. Their journey of individuation, when consciously undertaken, is not just personal, but archetypal, offering a blueprint for how humanity might learn to navigate its own collective energetic vulnerabilities. The future of the empath, and perhaps of our collective psyche, hinges on this conscious integration, on transforming what was once a source of energetic drain into a wellspring of profound strength and insight. The path is challenging, demanding courage and relentless introspection, but the rewards are immeasurable, not merely survival, but thriving and becoming a conscious agent of healing in a world desperately in need of energetic discernment. Now consider this. In a world increasingly saturated with unexamined energies and collective projections, how might the conscious individuation of rare aura empaths not only safeguard their own psychic integrity, but also catalyze a shift in the energetic landscape of humanity itself? If this deep dive into the energetic matrix of empaths and the ancient wisdom of Jungian psychology has illuminated new pathways within your own psychic landscape, prompting a re-evaluation of your vulnerability and an awakening to your inherent power, then I invite you to engage further with this discourse. Like this video to signal your commitment to the path of individuation and conscious energetic mastery. Your acknowledgement helps to propagate these vital insights to other seeking souls. Share your profound reflections and personal experiences in the comments below. How have these Jungian frameworks resonated with your own struggles and triumphs in navigating the world as an energetically sensitive individual? What personal methodologies have you discovered or refined in your quest for psychic fortitude? Furthermore, consider sharing this exploration with those who might be grappling with similar energetic complexities, whose rare auras may yet be undefended. For those whose curiosity has been piqued, eager to delve deeper into the intricate dance of the psyche and further strengthen the structure of the self, I highly recommend staying active on the channel to be the first to receive our companion video, The Alchemical Journey, Transforming Shadow into Gold, where we explore advanced Jungian techniques for integrating fragmented aspects of the self, a crucial step in building an unassailable energetic core. Until our next profound journey into the concealed dimensions of the human spirit, continue to cultivate your inner sanctuary, to stand vigilant at the thresholds of your being, and to remember that true protection springs not from evasion, but from the conscious integration and courageous wielding of your deepest self. Keep journeying inward. The most potent strengths and the most enduring peace lie waiting within.